Hi, welcome back to the Systems Resource Management. This is Module 1.2. We're going to close out Chapter 1, discussing the organizational environment and how IT is affected by organizational turbulence or external turbulence or internal turbulence that will basically determine what technologies we use or why we do the things that we do within IT. So the external organization environment allows that, or basically states that IT allows information to move faster, and so therefore we can respond to a variety of events that are occurring. For example, an earthquake that occurs in DC allows us to send information to California or wherever it needs to very, very quickly. We saw this actually with the DC earthquake, where actual tweets had actually made it to New York before the shock waves of the earthquake actually reached New York. And so we can basically get information where it needs to get to at the appropriate time for some sort of action. So we see this in government usage, we see this in disaster response. Businesses will respond to changes in the environment, such as they're going to put up a sale or they're going to put up some promotion based on some event that has occurred. And we can do that because of this internet economy. The B2C and B2B models, and we'll go over that in a later chapter, basically business to consumer, business to business, are models in which the businesses interact with a various type of consumer, and each model has some different attributes. IT underpins the way we interact with those organizations or individuals. So the global marketplace, the world has now become a marketplace because the internet has allowed us to reduce the barriers to entry for any organization. And so therefore a company in New York can actually sell much easier to Europe or Asia than it could, say, 20 years ago, allowing them to compete globally. But this globalization is, as your book states, is a two-way street where companies in Asia and Europe can easily access markets in the United States or elsewhere. What happens is that before, you needed a large capital, you needed large skill set in those areas in Europe or China or Japan to actually reach those markets. Now with the internet, you don't need that. Many small companies can operate out of their garage and are able to sell their product fairly seamlessly. So the business environment is global, but local tastes matter. You still have to have an understanding of what the local flavors are or local marketing. And I'm sure in a global international business class or a marketing class that deals with international marketing, you'll probably deal with some of those things. And you can apply those principles to IT as well. So what else is there? Business ecosystems. How does the business actually operate? What are the environmental constructs in which that organization is? The organization supposed to be green, or do we have a certain political hierarchy? Decapitalization, it talks about moving from tangible to intangible assets. Most of the stuff that we have now is intellectual property. It's data. It's not things that we just package, ship, and sell. There are faster business cycles. We're expected to work in days and minutes, whereas before it was mostly months and weeks. Accountability and transparency, because of logging, because IT enables certain access to certain things, you can know who is accountable for what transactions, what have they done, and you have a greater level of transparency. Societal changes also demand that we use technology appropriately. For example, people may believe that they should just have a one-click option, or that you're saving their credit card in a manner that is secure. This is a societal change from 20 years ago where people would just put their credit card, swipe it, and there would be a carbon print. People would say, take the carbons. For those of you who remember that, I actually do. I'm not that old, but old enough to remember those things. And political dynamics, as we see, things like the revolution, say, in Egypt or across the Middle East, is being fueled by the ability to communicate between individuals over Twitter or Facebook or any type of social media. So we see the political dynamics changing external to the organization, which impact our IT technology and its implementation. Internally, we're going from the supply push to a demand pull. The old way, companies did their best to figure out what the customers wanted. They organized the supply chain and they figured out, they did some calculations that said, we believe this is what it's going to be. But now, the newer age, we're able to use the information that we get in a much tighter time scale and really reach the customers that we want one-to-one and stay connected to them, even through social media, through the websites, through chat, through these electronic means, and offer the customers what they want when they want it. So we're providing mobile technologies, we're providing iPad apps, we're providing different applications to stay connected to the customer itself. So another example, self-service. ATMs were one of the first areas. Banking, again, is it's not weird that banks were one of the first people to actually try this because they wanted to reduce their cost for the transaction. In 1990s, with the internet, they could use their browsers to basically learn about products, ultimately purchase products, inquire, and communicate and do business with the firm and find out could they get a lower price? Were they able to push the prices down? And how could they do that? Some of the other things that we have is real-time working, team-based working. It's all how the individuals or the employees want to work. They can work 24 hours a day whenever they want, or they can collaborate a lot easier. Telecommuting is another thing that a lot of companies are doing, which allows them to reduce their actual office space footprint. You see many employees sharing cubicles when they're actually in the office. So one employee may work the first 3 days of a week and then another employee the next 2 days in the same cubicle and then reverse that schedule the next week because they're at home. Employees have been shown to have a higher morale when they have this type of environment when they're allowed to telecommute. However, it is a little bit of a danger because when employees are telecommuting, we also find that they feel disconnected from things in the organization, and in some cases, full-time telecommuting actually has the reverse effect. Outsourcing, because our internal organization may not be able to have the right skill set, or because we can get things done cheaper, we actually will outsource certain commoditized, or hopefully it's commoditized, items within the IT organization. We can develop strategic alliances with, say, partners like IBM or SAP or Oracle, giving us access to highly skilled resources who are leveraging very top talent. And hierarchical changes, the internal organization, because of this, may flatten out a little bit because we don't need a lot of people, so therefore we don't need a significant chain of command. So in your book, it represents the mission as improving the performance of people and organizations through the use of information technology. So the question is, do you agree with this statement? I mean, are people's performance actually improved because they use information technology, or is there something else? If there were no performance gains, does this mean we should not implement technology? So you can use Blackboard, and actually I'd like to encourage you to use Blackboard to answer this type of question. I'll make sure that it's posted on Blackboard for you.